Have you ever opened your fridge, looked at yesterday's dinner, and thought, well, I'll just warm this up and eat it again? Most of us have. It feels practical, simple, and safe. After all, what could be so wrong with reheating a bowl of soup or a few leftover eggs? But here's something we rarely talk about. Not all leftovers love us back, especially after we hit our 60s. As our bodies change, so do the ways we digest, absorb, and react to food. Some reheated meals can quietly steal our energy, upset our digestion, or even stir up inflammation in our joints and memory. It doesn't happen all at once, but it builds up, and you deserve to know how to protect yourself. That's why in this video, I want to share with you 6 common foods, 3 that become even better for your body when reheated the right way, and 3 others that you should stop reheating altogether, starting today. This isn't about fear or rules. It's about giving your body the care it's earned through the years. And by the end, I'll also reveal one simple food that seems harmless but may actually be weakening your legs and clouding your focus each time you warm it up again. So stay with me, and if you're enjoying the content or learning something new, leave me a comment. Just type 1 below to let me know you're with me. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to Health 365 so you never miss out on future videos designed just for your well-being. Now, let's begin with something warm and familiar that's quietly powerful, a humble breakfast bowl that might be doing more good than you realize. There's a kind of quiet comfort in starting the day with something warm, familiar, and nourishing, and for many of us, that something is a bowl of oatmeal. Maybe it reminds you of childhood, or maybe it's just become a gentle habit over the years. Either way, it's more than just breakfast, it's a daily ritual. But here's something most people don't know. When you cook oatmeal, let it cool, and then reheat it the next morning, it doesn't lose its goodness. In fact, it gets better, especially for your digestion, your blood sugar, and your energy throughout the day. Here's why. When oats cool after being cooked, something interesting happens to their starch. The structure of the starch changes. It becomes what scientists call resistant starch. That might sound complicated, but all it means is that instead of breaking down quickly in your small intestine like regular carbs, these new starches move into your large intestine. They feed the good bacteria that live in your gut. These friendly bacteria play a quiet but powerful role in keeping you regular, easing inflammation, and supporting your immune system. All things that become more important as we age. Now here's the best part. When you reheat that cooled oatmeal, slowly and gently, the resistant starch remains. It doesn't disappear. You still get that extra gut-friendly benefit. And because the starch now digests more slowly, it gives you steady energy without the sugar crash. That's huge for those of us in our 60s, 70s, or beyond, when blood sugar can become more unpredictable. Instead of feeling hungry or tired just an hour after breakfast, your energy stays balanced. You feel satisfied, not heavy, not jittery. And it's not just about the starch. Oatmeal contains beta-glucan, a special type of soluble fiber that's been shown to lower LDL cholesterol, the bad kind. That means it's not just filling your belly, it's helping your heart, too. If your doctor has ever talked to you about cholesterol or heart health, you might be surprised to learn that a warm bowl of oats can quietly lend a hand. I remember my friend Harold. He's 68 and always used to skip breakfast or just grab toast. He started reheating oatmeal with a few slices of banana and a spoonful of peanut butter. Within weeks, he said he felt less tired mid-morning and didn't need that second cup of coffee. It's those little changes that add up, day by day. And here's a tip. You can make a big batch at the start of the week, store it in small containers in the fridge, and simply reheat a portion each morning. Add in some cinnamon, frozen berries, or crushed walnuts as it warms. That extra flavor brings in antioxidants, healthy fats, and natural sweetness. No need for sugar. Of course, not all reheating is equal. Try to avoid blasting it on high in the microwave. A low setting on the stove or microwave works best. Stir it with a splash of water or milk to keep it creamy and gentle on the stomach. Your gut will thank you, your energy will feel more stable, and even your mood may improve. Now that we've had our breakfast, let's step into the warm comfort of something that speaks to the soul and the immune system alike. There's something deeply comforting about soup, not just the warmth, but the way it wraps around you like a soft blanket. For many seniors, especially during the quiet hours of late afternoon, a bowl of vegetable soup feels like more than just food. It's a return to a slower rhythm, a reminder of home, family, and that long-forgotten smell of herbs drifting from the kitchen. But here's what might surprise you. When reheated the right way, a simple pot of vegetable soup doesn't just comfort the heart, it actually becomes more nutritious and more healing, especially for aging bodies. You see, when you cook a soup filled with hearty vegetables, like carrots, onions, leafy greens, celery, and sweet potatoes, something magical happens. The longer these vegetables sit in the broth after cooking, the more their cell walls soften and break down. And when you reheat that soup, especially slowly over the stove, those nutrients become even more available to your body. That includes antioxidants, vitamins, and plant compounds that were still trapped the first time you cooked it. Why does that matter? Because as we grow older, our bodies don't absorb nutrients as easily as they used to. So having those minerals already loosened in the broth means you're giving your digestion a helping hand. And let's not forget, soup is mostly water, so every spoonful helps keep you hydrated, which is incredibly important if you struggle with low energy, joint stiffness, or constipation. There's research too. Studies in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition have shown that warm vegetable-based soups can lower markers of inflammation and improve overall appetite in seniors, something many older adults struggle with. And if your soup includes natural anti-inflammatory ingredients like garlic, turmeric, ginger, or parsley, you're giving your joints and immune system exactly the kind of support they crave. I remember Ruth, a sweet 73-year-old woman who told me she'd lost interest in meals after her husband passed. Big plates of food overwhelmed her. But when I suggested she make a pot of vegetable soup once a week, packed with sweet potatoes, kale, garlic, and lentils, she said it changed everything. "I feel like I'm feeding my soul again," she smiled. And more importantly, she stopped losing weight, started sleeping better, and felt less stiff in the mornings. Reheating soup also makes sense emotionally. It's one of the few foods that doesn't lose its comfort when warmed a second time. In fact, it often tastes better, the flavors deeper, the herbs more fragrant, the warmth more grounding. It doesn't rush you. It doesn't demand chewing or complicated digestion. It's patient. It waits for you to be ready. And here's a gentle tip. If you're storing soup, use glass containers and reheat it slowly on the stove or low in the microwave. Avoid plastic when you can. Heat can draw out unwanted chemicals. And be careful not to boil it aggressively. Just a soft simmer will do. The goal isn't to rush, but to revive, gently, like waking a memory that still has something to offer. And now, if that warm bowl of soup nourishes the soul, then what comes next is the quiet strength beneath it all. A simple grain that holds more power than most people realize, especially when it's gently brought back to life the next day. Let's talk about brown rice. There's something about brown rice that feels humble, almost too simple to notice. It's not flashy, it doesn't burst with flavor, and it rarely steals the spotlight on a dinner plate. But don't let that fool you. This quiet grain holds a kind of strength that aging bodies truly need, especially when it's been cooked, cooled, and gently reheated. Yes, reheated. Because when you bring brown rice back to life the right way, it becomes more than just a side dish. It becomes a steady foundation for energy, heart health, and even muscle strength. Let's start with what makes brown rice so different from its white counterpart. Unlike white rice, brown rice still has its bran and germ, the layers that are rich in fiber, B vitamins, selenium, and magnesium. These are nutrients that the body starts craving more as we get older, especially magnesium, which supports nerve function, blood pressure, and helps relax muscles. If you've ever struggled with restless legs at night or those surprise leg cramps that wake you up, your body might be asking for more magnesium. And brown rice delivers it, quietly and consistently. But that's just the beginning. When you cook brown rice and then let it cool, even just overnight, the starch inside starts to change. Like oatmeal, it develops what's known as resistant starch. This type of starch acts like a prebiotic, which means it feeds the good bacteria in your gut. These bacteria are like silent workers. They help regulate your digestion, calm inflammation, support your immune system, and even play a role in how you feel emotionally. And guess what? When you reheat that rice, gently with a splash of water, the resistant starch remains. So, your second serving might actually be more helpful to your body than the first. I once spoke with a gentleman named Tom, 74, widowed, and living alone. He said he often skipped meals because cooking just for himself didn't feel worth it. But he started making a small pot of brown rice twice a week. He kept it in the fridge and reheated portions with soft vegetables, lentils, or just olive oil and herbs. It's not exciting, he told me, but it makes me feel steady. Like I'm grounded. That's the beauty of brown rice. It doesn't demand attention. It simply shows up and supports your body from the inside out. Another powerful benefit. Brown rice helps manage blood sugar. For seniors, especially those living with type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance, this is no small matter. Unlike processed carbs, which spike blood sugar and then cause energy crashes, reheated brown rice breaks down slowly. That means more stable energy, fewer mood swings, and better control over cravings. You might even notice you feel less sleepy after meals, or that you can focus a bit more clearly in the afternoons. Of course, how you reheat it makes a difference. Don't dry it out in the microwave on full blast. Add a little water, cover it, and use a low setting or warm it on the stovetop. This helps preserve the moisture and makes it easier to digest. If chewing is difficult, mix it with soft beans or mash in cooked veggies. You'll get texture and nutrition without effort. Now, while some foods like brown rice become even more nourishing the second time around, others don't offer the same kindness. In fact, a few familiar favorites can quietly turn on your body when reheated, starting with one that often hides behind its earthy charm. Let's take a closer look at mushrooms. At first glance, mushrooms seem harmless, even healthy. They're earthy, low in calories, and filled with antioxidants. Many seniors turn to them as a meat alternative, and rightly so. When freshly cooked, mushrooms are a gentle choice for digestion and a great way to bring variety to your meals. But here's something most people don't know. Once mushrooms have been cooked, cooled, and then reheated, they don't behave the same way. In fact, for older adults, this innocent-looking food can quietly upset your digestion, your nerves, and even your immune system. Let's start with what's happening on a cellular level. Mushrooms are made up of complex proteins and amino acids. The first time you cook them, those proteins break down into forms that are easier for your body to absorb. But when you let mushrooms cool and then reheat them, especially using high heat or microwaves, those proteins go through another change. They become denatured again, reshaping into forms that your aging digestive system may struggle to break down. Now, if you were in your 20s or 30s, your stomach acid and enzymes might power through that without much trouble. But as we get older, everything slows down, including digestion. Reheated mushrooms can lead to bloating, discomfort, or even nausea, not because they've gone bad, but because your body is now working harder to process something it wasn't designed to handle twice. There's another concern that's even more important, and often overlooked: bacteria. Mushrooms are porous and moist, which means they're more likely to harbor bacteria when stored improperly. If they've been sautéed in oil or butter and then left at room temperature too long before refrigeration, dangerous bacteria like Listeria or even Clostridium botulinum can grow. These bacteria aren't always obvious. They don't always smell or change the look of your food. But they can cause stomach upset, fatigue, or worse, especially in seniors with weaker immune systems. I once heard from a 70-year-old woman named Grace who made a lovely mushroom risotto for dinner, saved the leftovers, and warmed them up for lunch the next day. That evening, she didn't feel right, cramping, bloated, and dizzy. Her doctor later told her that the issue likely wasn't the risotto itself, but the reheated mushrooms. "It was such a surprise," she told me. "I always thought mushrooms were the safe choice." And here's something else to consider: nutrition. Fresh mushrooms are full of antioxidants like ergothioneine, which protect your cells from damage. But these antioxidants break down quickly when reheated. So even if you avoid the stomach issues, you're not getting the same health benefits the second time around. So what should you do instead? Enjoy mushrooms fresh and fully cooked the first time. If you have leftovers that include mushrooms, like in a stir-fry or pasta, it's safer to eat them cold the next day, like a chilled salad or sandwich filling. Or, better yet, just cook enough for one meal and avoid storing them at all. It's a small shift that can save you a lot of discomfort down the line. And if mushrooms can quietly trouble your digestion when reheated, the next food might surprise you even more. It's a breakfast classic many of us rely on for strength and simplicity. But when warmed a second time, eggs may shift from nourishing to harmful in ways we rarely see coming. Let's take a closer look. Eggs have always felt like one of those perfect foods: simple, satisfying, and packed with nutrition. For many seniors, they're a morning staple, often scrambled, boiled, or gently fried to start the day. And rightly so. Eggs are rich in high-quality protein, they're full of choline for brain health, and they contain vitamin D for bones and immunity. But here's the part that catches most people off guard. When eggs are reheated, especially the next day, something important changes, and not for the better. You see, when eggs are cooked the first time, their proteins unfold and settle into a form that your body can digest easily. But if you let those eggs cool, store them overnight, and then reheat them, especially in the microwave or on high heat, those same proteins begin to harden and restructure. For younger people with strong digestion, this might not cause much of a fuss. But for older adults, whose digestive enzymes may have slowed down, these restructured proteins can be harder to break down. The result: bloating, discomfort, or that sluggish, heavy feeling that seems to come out of nowhere. But the bigger concern isn't just about digestion. It's about what happens when fats in eggs, especially those scrambled in oil or fried in butter, are heated a second time. When exposed to high heat again, the cholesterol and fats in eggs can oxidize. That means they start forming compounds that your body sees as inflammatory. Over time, these oxidized fats have been linked to artery damage, increased oxidative stress, and a higher risk of heart disease, especially in people already dealing with high blood pressure or cholesterol issues. I once spoke with a man named Alan, 72 years old, who had developed a habit of reheating leftover scrambled eggs for lunch. He liked the convenience: just pop them in the microwave and eat. But he started noticing more frequent indigestion and afternoon fatigue. His doctor couldn't find anything seriously wrong, but when he switched to eating eggs fresh and stopped reheating them altogether, the discomfort vanished. "I didn't realize something so small could make such a difference," he told me. "It's those small changes that sneak up on us. One day it's just a bit of gas or an unsettled stomach. Weeks later, it's slower thinking, poorer sleep, or a spike in cholesterol, and we don't even realize it's coming from the breakfast we thought was helping us. Of course, that doesn't mean you have to give up eggs. Not at all. When eaten fresh and cooked gently, eggs are still one of the most nutrient-dense foods you can enjoy. Poached, soft-boiled, or gently scrambled with olive oil, they're easy on the stomach and rich in goodness. The key is to eat them right after cooking. Don't leave them sitting for hours. And if you must store leftovers that contain eggs, like in a casserole or frittata, consider eating them cold or skipping them altogether the next day. And let's talk about microwaves for a second. While they're convenient, they often heat unevenly, especially when it comes to eggs. That means some parts get overcooked while others stay cool, a perfect setup for digestive troubles or, worse, bacterial growth if the food isn't reheated all the way through. And finally, there's one beloved comfort food that might be doing more harm than good when reheated. Soft, familiar, and deeply rooted in tradition, but surprisingly unkind to aging bodies: white potatoes. For many of us, white potatoes are more than just food, they're memories. A bowl of creamy mashed potatoes at Sunday dinner. Crispy roasted wedges during the holidays. A side of potato salad passed around at family gatherings. There's a warm familiarity to them that feels like a hug from the past. But here's the part no one really tells you. For seniors, especially those over 60, reheating white potatoes can quietly work against your health, and the effects may not show up right away. Let's start with something called the glycemic index, a way to measure how quickly a food turns into sugar in your bloodstream. White potatoes are already high on this scale, meaning they can spike blood sugar fast, even when freshly cooked. But when you cook them, cool them down, and then reheat them, especially with butter, oil, or cream, that's when things get tricky. Their starch structure changes in a way that can increase insulin resistance and trigger inflammation, especially in blood vessels and nerves. For an older adult, that matters more than ever. As we age, our sensitivity to blood sugar changes naturally decreases. That means your body might not react as quickly or efficiently to those sudden spikes. And those spikes aren't just about energy crashes. They can lead to increased fatigue, tingling in the feet or hands, and even make joint pain worse. I once spoke to a gentleman named Ray, 69 years old, who said he always felt foggy and slow after reheating leftover potatoes from the night before. When he stopped doing that and swapped in sweet potatoes or lentils, the difference was dramatic. "My knees don't ache after lunch anymore," he said. "And I don't feel like I need a nap at 2 p.m. Another hidden risk. The way we often reheat potatoes. It's common to use plastic containers in the microwave. But when heated, certain plastics can release chemicals like BPA, a substance that's been linked to hormone disruption and cardiovascular issues. So now, not only are you dealing with a starch that messes with blood sugar and inflammation, but you may also be ingesting compounds that quietly interfere with your heart and hormone balance. And here's the tough part: reheated white potatoes don't really give you much in return. Unlike sweet potatoes, they lack meaningful antioxidants. They don't bring the same fiber or anti-inflammatory properties. They fill you up, sure, but they don't build you up. And for a body that's trying to stay strong, steady, and sharp, that makes all the difference. Does that mean you can never enjoy potatoes again? Of course not. The key is to enjoy them fresh, in moderation, and preferably paired with a protein or some fiber to slow down the sugar spike. And if you've got leftovers, maybe it's time to ask yourself whether that side dish is truly worth reheating, or whether your future self would feel better with a different choice. Not all leftovers deserve a second chance, especially when your health is on the line. At this stage in life, every bite matters. The food you reheat can either rebuild your strength or quietly take it away. But the good news? You're in control. Choose what truly nourishes you, like warm oatmeal, comforting soup, or brown rice. And gently let go of old habits, like reheating eggs, mushrooms, or white potatoes, that may no longer serve you. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing one small thing better every day. So if this video helped, leave a comment and share your thoughts. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the Health 365 family, where growing older means growing stronger together. Your next chapter of strength starts here.